Well, if Mr. Cropper's posted them, I haven't seen them, and there's actually a couple Mr. Cropper videos that I was planning to see. It's hard to keep up with. But I have been thinking just about the video I did reply to of his. And it seems Mr. Cropper, I mean, first of all, there's an irony here, because I'm very much a show-me type person, you know, show me. And I'm a materialist, and I believe in the no-nonsense facts of the world. So theoretically, that puts us in the same category, right? Because, Mr. Cropper, you too are a no-nonsense man. The problem is that I've looked very closely at what we have of evidence, and I will believe the things that I've been shown. Relativism and quantum mechanics have lots of facts that they've shown, lots of predictions that they've made that come out correct. And this is what lends weight to these theories. Now, these theories are just models, and you don't have to accept every interpretation, but you can't just ignore them as nonsense either. For example, you misunderstand quantum mechanics when you think there's a non-causality principle. Quantum mechanics does not say there's a non-causality. What quantum mechanics says is it reasserts the idea that there can be multiple results from a single cause. You know, going back in time, it has seemed like this to people, right? Like if you flip a coin, it can come up heads or tails. So that's one cause of you flipping the coin, and two possible results. It always seemed sensible to people to think that way, but as we concrete thinkers got better and better at controlling situations, we started to think, well, no, there really isn't anything random. There's just things that seem random because we're not being careful enough in our control. A fine theory, and it did rather well for you for a couple hundred years, didn't it? It looked like that might be true. But then we dug deep enough into the quantum scale, and we realized, no, it really is possible to have one thing with multiple effects. You can have one electron, and it can be potentially in multiple places. And you don't really know until you proverbially or metaphorically roll the dice. There's ways to recover your sense of forbidden causality, but you have to modify your concept of a causality. One way or another, you have to modify your idea of cause and effect. You can't just say, oh, well, we know cause and effect is this way, and the real has to conform. No. Your idea of cause and effect is itself just a theory. And insofar as that theory was one set of causes must lead to one and only one effect, quantum theory breaks that assumption. You have to improve your idea of cause and effect. You only have to do that because of the evidence. You only have to do that because people can show your eyes the experiments that require updating your concept of cause and effect. So just do that, or you know, you don't believe in the real world. You're not being objective. You're ignoring objective facts in order to believe whatever you like. I suppose I should also explain, just in general, the sense in which I'm a materialist. You know, the problem with materialism is believing everything is in this external world, that we don't have direct access to the external world. So materialism has to be defined in terms of something we have direct access to, and that is our perceptions. And so materialism, it turns out, is not going to be about the external world. It's going to be about the consistency of our sense perceptions. And whatever explains that consistency, whatever it is, whether it was a computer program, somebody's having a consistent dream, or there's an external physical world, or any possibility, whatever the reason is that our sense experiences are so consistent, that's materialism. That the answer to that question corresponds to whatever is material. The fact is, we don't often have to know if an object is material. Somebody used an example of a dog. You know, if you're crossing a dog, and why spend all this time trying to figure out if the dog exists? I don't think that we do. I think the only question there is not if the dog exists or not, but if we have to do something about it. And it doesn't have to do with the dog, you know, existing separate from us. It has to do with perceptions of a dog, and the fact that if I am then perceiving that I'm bitten by a dog, that I will then also perceive pain, and I want to avoid that pain. That is what motivates me having to think and make a decision about the dog, not whether it exists or not. I can run from a dog that was an imaginary creature just to run from the pain, the perceptions that would come from it. And this is basically what we do in our waking life. Now, the theory that there is a material external world, I mean, that's a pretty good theory. It works pretty well. And I believe it. It's just that I'm very, very picky about getting things in the right order. You know, and I want to have the most fundamental, directly known things. That's our strongest knowledge, and we build up on top of there. And materialism is a couple levels up. Now, looking at things below the level where materialism is proven is, you know, it's a lot like looking at the quantum scale. You're looking at a small scale that, you know, you find truths in it which do apply to your regular world, but also cancel out, and you could get away with ignoring them. You don't have to look at the atoms in order to pick an apple and eat it and get sustenance from it. But it's still true that the fact that the, you know, apple's made of certain molecules and your body's made of certain molecules, I mean, these things are all still important, and they're all still going on when you eat and digest that apple. So it's similar with this epistemology. I mean, all we really have direct access to is perceptions, and that's just a fact. And we'll never get access to an external world because you can't get outside your body and see where these perceptions are coming from. You can, however, use your senses to look at and see sense organs and start to get a materialist explanation for how these perceptions come. Ultimately, you'll have to define everything in terms of your perceptions one way or another. So, we're limited to perceptions. Quantum mechanics and relativity, you want to call those nonsense? Well, they're just theories that try to explain a sense of perceptions that you have no way to explain. So if you come up with a way to explain them, then I could listen to your comments on their quality as theories.